Hey, welcome to the new video, and in this video I am going to talk about stateless and stateful widgets of Flutter. But before diving into the code, let's understand why it's necessary to learn about it for Flutter developers out there. Okay, as example, when we build any application like a simple to-do list or like a weather app or even more complex app, what's the norm? The norm is user will interact with your app and your app should respond as well based on those interactions, based on some logics, right? Here's the magic of stateless and stateful widgets comes into the play. It's give you the opportunity to make your app not just a static content, but like a living thing, You can change your app data, content, whatever in the runtime. So let's make a simple project. At first, I am going to make it uh, using stateless widgets, and then we will go for stateful widgets. Okay, let's head over into my computer screen and create the project. Okay, I have already a project, and so here is the project we are going to build today. Here we'll have two buttons for increment and decrement the value of counter. On each click, it will change the value of counter. Okay, let's remove the code first. We will do it from the beginning again. So remove, yeah. What we have here, we have the main method. What is this main method? It's the entry point for dot language. And then we have run app. Run app is basically the entry point for Flutter. Flutter is its rendering from this run app. And what should we give inside this run app? Let's see. Okay, it's take a widget class, right? Let's create a widget class. We'll make a stateless widget. How can we do that? Let's use this shortcut. And yeah, this one. But my suggestion for you, do not use this shortcut as you are the beginner now, right? So write it by your own, and let's pass this my widget inside run app. Yeah, okay. And what's this my widget doing? It's extending a stateless widget. And what we have a method build to override here. And what is this build? Okay, in Flutter needs a widget to render on the screen, right? It's like telling Flutter, hey, this is what I want you to display. And that we return here inside the build. Okay, now we will return in the return, we will make a text widget in the center. Okay. Okay, now we have a text widget in the center of the screen. Now, if we run the project again, alright, we have created a simple Flutter app with a stateless widget displaying a hello world text. Let's add a bit of interactivity. Who wants a app with its static data, right? Let's add a variable. Okay, let's add a variable. We type integer name counter with the initial value equal 0. Okay, now I want to show this inside the screen now, and then wrap this text with a column. Okay, column, because we need multiple widgets, right? And then we're going to show the counter value inside this text. Counter, then counter. Okay, let's see. Now we have the counter value, but we need that in the middle of the screen, right? How can we do that? We can align this with main axis alignment center. Okay, now we have it's in the center. Okay, now we need a button, right? To change the value. The button, floating action button. Here we have down pressed. We need a child now, right? So we're going to give a icon here with a icon, and the icon will be icons dot I think add. Okay, and run. Okay, it's looking good, but we need space between these two. We will use the sized box with a height of 10, I think. Okay, yeah, looking good. Okay, now we have to update the counter value, right? We have to do it inside the onPressed. Okay, let's make a function to increment the value. Increment, and inside this we will update the counter value by 1 plus. Okay, when we will call this increment method, it will increase the value of counter by 1. It's mean counter equal counter plus 1. Okay, but we will use the shortcut counter plus. Okay, and we will call this method inside the onPressed increment, and also we'll print the counter value here in the console. Counter and counter and counter. Yes. Okay, if I run the project now, what should be? Now if I press the button, the counter value should be increased, right? Now press. Okay, pressing the button, but what happening? In the console, the value is increasing, but not in the screen. Why? Because we are using stateless widget. Stateless widget can't update the content of its widget in the runtime. So what could be the solution? The solution is to change this stateless widget to stateful widget, right? And how can we do that? We can do this from here using this shortcut. So just convert it to stateful widget. But again, my suggestion is for you to not do this because you are the beginner, right? So now we are extending stateful widget, and inside that we are overriding the create state as it's a stateful widget, right? And this my widget state, again extending state because now we need state, and inside that we have again the build method, and here we are returning the widget tree, and again run the project. Okay, now we are using stateful widget and we have the same view. And now what should be, if I press the button, it should be increment the value of counter by 1, right? Okay, let's check. If I tap the button, it's incrementing the value in the console but not in the screen. Why? Because when we want or to update the value, we need to rebuild the widget tree, right? We are incrementing the value but not rebuilding the widget. So how can we do that? Here is the magic of stateful. We can use set state. So what is set state? Basically, set state rebuild the widget tree. So when we will call increment, it will update the value of counter and then rebuild the widget tree by calling set state. And now if we run the project and check, now if I click the button, it should, yeah, it updating the value of counter on the screen. So basically this is the difference of stateless and stateful. Now we can add another function for decrementing the value of counter. Okay, let's rename this as decrement, and it will decrement the value of counter by 1 on every call. Okay, let's add a row, wrap with a row, then copy this button and paste. So we have 2 buttons now, but we are going to set this button in the center of the screen with main axis alignment center, right? Okay, now add a space between these 2 buttons with sized box with a width of 10. Okay, now change the icon with a remove. Okay, remove, yes. Okay, also we have to change this here with decrement. Okay, now we can set the background color with background colors dot red. Okay, red, okay, red. And for the increment we can set the background colors dot green, I think. Okay, green. And now if I pressed in the decrement, it should decrement the value, and if I press in the increment, it should increment the value. So when we are pressing the buttons, it's calling the method increment or decrement. Inside that, it's incrementing the value of counter, then the set state method rebuilding the widget tree. For that, we can see the reflection and changes the value of counter in the screen. Okay, I think you know the difference between stateless and stateful widgets now. If you know, then do some projects and practice. If you have any questions, then please comment below. And if you like the video, then press the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, you can follow me on Facebook.